Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Where is safe? Daring gun attack in front of the office of a Prime Minister in St. Andrew. JTA and Finance Ministry reach settlement over outstanding allowances. And later in sports, Special Olympics chairman urges more participation from Jamaican athletes. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters, and here are the details. 2 men were shot and wounded in front of the office of the Prime Minister on Hope Road, St. Andrew this morning. It's understood that the men were in the process of changing a flat tire on their motor vehicle when men on a motorcycle drove up and fired shots, hitting them. The police who were in the vicinity fired at the gunmen, but they escaped. A motive has not been established for the shooting. Now, the incident occurred sometime after 3 Wednesday morning. Reports are that one of the victims is the child of a well-known St. Andrew-based businessman. That incident led to a traffic nightmare for motorists in the corporate area. The Jamaica Teachers Association and the Ministry of Finance have reached an agreement on the payment of outstanding allowances to teachers under the Compensation Review Program. The JTA has been at odds with the Finance Ministry over the fact that the graduate allowance and remote inducement allowance were not applied to the salaries of teachers who are eligible for those allowances arising from the compensation review. But in a statement to its members, JTA President Leighton Johnson said following talks, the parties have reached an agreement.
After much deliberation, and with the insistence of the Jamaica Teachers Association, the government has now agreed with our position as follows. A. 1 increment is to be given to each individual with a master's degree as at April 1, 2022. B. 2 increments should be given to individuals with doctoral degrees as at April 1, 2022. C. Persons in receipt of the remote inducement allowance as at April 1, 2022 will have the allowance calculated as per the new salary scale arising from the conclusion of the compensation review process.
Now, he says the new salary is to be paid April 1, 2024, and the retroactive sums for the period April 1, 2022 to March 31, 2024 should be paid in 2 installments, 60% in August 2024 and the remaining 40% in December 2024. The JTA president says the association will ensure the calculations are accurately computed. As the demand for better housing solutions continue, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says at least 500 new houses will be built under the social housing program in the 2024-25 financial year. However, in order to build more, Mr. Holness stressed that cheaper building techniques will have to be used. Kelisha Williams reports.
The real estate market has remained competitive even throughout the pandemic, with many Jamaicans unable to afford a new home. At the same time, according to the government, there has been a growing need for social houses, meaning houses built by the state for the less fortunate. On Monday, this woman became the latest beneficiary of the social housing program, and for the rest of 2024,
we plan to increase the budget for the new social housing program and the indigent housing program this year so that we can get more Jamaicans. We're targeting to do more in 2024. We're targeting to do at minimum 500 new social housing program this year in 2024, meaning 2024-2025 financial year.
But to do that, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government will have to change how the houses are built. He explained that steps are being taken to find cheaper alternatives.
Now, this structure, as you can see, is solid. Nothing is going to move this. When you go in and lock your door, you're safe. If there's a heavy shower, rain, or hurricane, even earthquake, this is well built. So you're safe. But the construction methodology used is quite expensive.
For instance, he explained how the use of advanced technology could reduce the financial burden on the government and the turnaround time for building the houses.
There are options for pre-designed, pre-constructed housing solutions that can be just lifted and placed on site, which would remove quite a bit of the work to build at the time. So those are options that we're going to explore specifically for single person households, indigent persons who maybe we have settled the land issue and all that is needed to do is just to place a unit on site.
Mr. Holness was speaking during the handing over of the new house in Lima, St. James. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
In the meantime, Mr. Holness says the government will be placing a spotlight on improving markets across Jamaica. During a tour of a Charles Gordon market in St. James, he said it's part of his administration's thrust for the improvement of local communities and urban spaces.
The focus on markets is primarily to improve the flow of traffic, both for pedestrian and for vehicular traffic in the urban spaces.
He says far more commerce could take place if the flow of traffic was organized.
So the big plan for the government is how do we reorganize our urban spaces, particularly our market districts, to make them far more convenient for pedestrian traffic and for vehicular traffic, while at the same time increasing the level of business that our vendors do. It has become ingrained in us almost that if we are not on the front.
In the meantime, local government minister Desmond McKenzie says phase 2 of repairs on the Charles Gordon market has commenced.
It will be the roof, and once that is completed, the old stalls that are there will be demolished and new stalls will be established. Now, once that is completed and this phase of the work is ready, the vendors will be relocated back inside the main market, and the work on the additional section of the market will commence.
The trial of Portland-based businessman Everton Beach's Stout MacDonald resumed in the new year, with another witness taking the stand. The details in this report.
The lead investigator in the Tanya MacDonald murder case revealed Tuesday that no evidential material obtained during the investigation was recorded in any of the diaries at the Major Investigation Division. The revelation was made Tuesday as the trial of Everton Beach's Stout MacDonald and his co-accused Oscar Barnes continued in the Home Circuit Court. The investigating officer was being cross-examined by the defense team representing Mr. MacDonald. He explained to the jurors that a decision was made not to record potential exhibits and evidence in the station diary, storekeeper registry, and exhibit registry to preserve its integrity. But he said he recorded information about a cellular phone included as evidence in his notebook. The detective was responding to defense attorney John Jacobs, who spent the morning session interrogating the cop about the reference number of a Samsung A31 cellular phone the prosecution's main witness Denverlin Minard said he used to secretly record conversations between him and Mr. MacDonald. The detective, while responding to Mr. Jacobs about whether the cellular phone was tampered with to create a password, said he had never created a password, not even for his own phone. But the cellular phone remained a point of contention during the proceedings. The senior cop, who had admitted earlier in the trial that he made a third statement explaining about the cellular phone after the trial started, reluctantly agreed that none of the 121 questions put to Minor during a question and answering session related to the cellular phone. Mr. MacDonald and Mr. Barnes are on trial for the murder of Mr. MacDonald's wife Tanya in July 2020. Kerry-Ann Simpson, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation is this afternoon dismissing claims that it is not acting against developers who are in breach of the building code. Now, the response follows a number of reports by TVJ News of developers breaching the code. One such property is the Gwen, which since 2019 has been causing unease to residents of Charlemont Drive in St. Andrew. The development consists of 6 two-bedroom apartment units and 6 three-bedroom units. However, permits granted by the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation and the National Environment and Planning Agency were for the development of 12 one-bedroom units. Now, it raised questions of the corporation not doing its job. But Kingston's mayor has rubbished those claims, stating that a number of developments across the corporate area were given stop orders.
Staff complement is acting and is doing its job. There are some that slip, but when we are aware of them and when they come to our attention in various ways, sometimes by just a social media post, or sometimes by just somebody complaining and bashing us. And even when you're bashing us, it's still information that you would have provided to us.
Mayor Williams noted that a number of cases relating to building code breaches are before the courts, but as to a specific number, he was not able to say. As for those still closed due to stop orders,
more than 5, I would say, but I can't speak definitively. But as I've said, usually once that takes place, and it's not a matter that is in the court, usually there's a remedy that is found. You see, you have to understand, generally there is compliance. So I would say over 90% of development, maybe over 95%, are really compliant development.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Net remittance inflows declined in the month of September last year. The Bank of Jamaica says funds coming into the country for the month totaled $262.9 million. That was 3.2% or $8.8 million less than September 2022. The central bank says this was primarily due to a $5.6 million drop in total remittances. For the period April to September, cash sent or brought into the country amounted to $1.61 billion. This was 3.2% or $52.8 million lower compared with the similar period in 2022. This decline stemmed from a reduction of 2.2% in total remittance inflows. Further afield, BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, is laying off about 600 employees, which represents roughly 3% of its global staff. This comes as the New York-based firm seeks to reshuffle its resources in response to technological changes in the financial industry. The company says even with the job cuts, it expects to end the year with more employees. And that's it for the Business Minute. And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In this evening's health report, we'll look at wrinkles.
Persons will come in talking about the deep line in between their eyebrows, and it actually makes you look angry all the time, and it actually ages you. The crow's feet around the eyes, a lot of persons, they don't like it because it also makes you look older. The deep laugh lines can, especially if your skin is sagging, can also make you look older than you really are.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Wear sunscreen daily to prevent sun damage. Do not use tanning beds. Moisturize your skin daily. Wash your face or use a cleanser to remove makeup. Quit smoking and stay hydrated.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Ecuador's prime minister has ordered that criminal gangs be neutralized after days of violence culminated in an attack on a television studio. Masked gunmen broke into public television channel TC's live studio during a broadcast, forcing staff to the floor. Police made 13 arrests following the attack, which injured 2 employees. At least 10 people have been killed since a 60-day state of emergency began in Ecuador on Monday. On the international scene, UK and US naval forces have repelled the largest attack yet by Yemen's Houthi rebels on shipping in the Red Sea. According to the US military, the Iran-backed group launched at least 21 drones and missiles overnight. They were shot down by carrier-based jets and 4 warships. No injuries or damage were reported. And Polish police have arrested the former Interior Minister and Deputy Interior Minister inside the presidential palace in Warsaw in a day of unprecedented political theater. They were sentenced to 2 years in jail last month for abuse of power when they led an anti-corruption office in 2007. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Simpson.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Spencer Darlington will have your midday sports report.